The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series continued its West Coast sweep last weekend at Phoenix International Raceway for the Good Sam 500. Kyle Busch started from the pole and led the first 74 laps. Tires were a major issue during the race, with Ryan Newman, Paul Menard, Brad Keselowski, and Casey Kane all blowing tires, causing poor finishes for all. Kevin Harvick made multiple restarts in second, jumping ahead of Carl Edwards twice. On the overtime restart, Kevin Harvick had stayed out of the pits while Carl Edwards took two fresh tires. Edwards made a last-ditch effort out of the final turns to try and pass Harvick, both slamming into each other down the final stretch. Kevin Harvick took the win by a margin of 1/100th of a second, the second photo finish of the year, Harvick's 8th win at Phoenix, and the 32nd of his career. Welcome back to Sideburns of Doom Gaming for the Auto Club 400 from Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. Today's featured driver is Carl Edwards. He'll be starting in the middle of the pack, right next to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kevin Harvick is on the pole. Actually, that's Matt Kenseth on the pole with Kevin Harvick on the outside. But just like last week in real life, Kevin Harvick jumps ahead. And Carl Edwards immediately starts making his moves to try and advance through the field. There he is right behind today's pole sitter, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon set a new track record this week in qualifying. Hopefully soon we'll be able to see him or someone else get their first win of their career. The last first-time winner was in August of 2014 at Watkins Glen from A.J. Allmendinger. Kevin Harvick leads the field through the end of lap 1. And Carl Edwards taps Dale Jr. and what a save by Dale Earnhardt Jr. No caution, no contact with the wall. Lost a lot of positions though. Here you can see him making his move on the number 24 of Chase Elliott. Out of the 4 races this season so far, Chase Elliott has had 2 DNFs and 2 top 10s. Sounds like a promising career ahead of him. Then again, he did also inherit the best car and one of the best cars and one of the best crews from Jeff Gordon. And it looks like Harvick and Kenseth have jumped way ahead of the field. And it's 4 wide with plenty of room to make it more. The uniqueness of this track is just how wide it is. Also how fast they go. They actually get up to roughly about 210 miles an hour before having to brake for their turn. And yes, that is faster than Daytona and Talladega. Carl Edwards seems to be running an outside lane. He's telling his crew chief he's not too happy with it. When he comes into the pits, I'm sure he'll be making a wedge adjustment. And he gets around Kenseth. Next in his sights, it looks like former Auto Club winner not Greg Biffle. I think that's Ryan Newman in a different paint scheme than what he normally runs. Five laps down. We're a quarter of the way through today's race. And Edwards gets around teammate Denny. Nope, he's not going to get around. But that is teammate Denny Hamlin in a Sport Clips paint scheme. And there he goes on the outside. Not quite. 6 laps down. The teammates are really battling it out here for what appears to be 3rd place. They make contact, just like Edwards did with Kevin Harvick last week in Phoenix. And it looks like he's going to do it. He's going to pass Denny Hamlin on the inside. He's still pulling to the outside, and he completes the pass. And that is Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson next in his sights. He's got some catching up to do right here. But it looks like they'll have to go into the pits pretty soon. His fuel's already starting to hit the red. Other drivers have already entered the pits. Harvick and Johnson both did. Carl Edwards has taken the lead. And just like Harvick and Johnson, he has jumped far ahead of the field. That cosmetic damage to his right side must be from earlier when he hit Dale Earnhardt Jr. And he's pulling down into the pits. If he pits now, he's going to really struggle to make it to that fuel window to the end of the race. He leads a lot more cars into the pits. And Richard Childress' Paul Menard takes the lead. Good for him after the lousy week he had with his tires at Phoenix last week. Paul Menard only has 1 win to his name, and that's the 2011 Brickyard 400.
Here, in and out. Let's go.
Edwards is going to... There's his tires, right sides, and he's going to take left sides as well. Get a full tank of gas. And he did get that wedge adjustment. Let's see if that works to his advantage. Oh, and he has got Kevin Harvick approaching fast. Once Paul Menard goes into the pits, Kevin Harvick will be the leader unless Carl Edwards can help it. And Harvick makes the pass, but Carl Edwards just tucks right into draft. And he's running closer to the inside now. He looks much more comfortable. And Carl Edwards is going to retake the lead at the end of lap 11. On lap 11. Menard had already crossed the start-finish line in the pits, so that's why lap 11 had already started. On this 2-mile racetrack, with the settings the way I have them, you really can't go 10 laps. You can only go 10 laps, but you can't really hit 11 on the fuel here. So Carl Edwards will either have to hope for a caution or hope everybody pits. And the way everyone's spread out, it looks like the everyone pitting under green possibility may be more likely. What Carl Edwards did right here is he did not hesitate to start accelerating all the way out of the pits and through the turn. He had almost regained all of his speed when he came out of turn 2, right when Kevin Harvick passed him, right before he took the lead again. If I had sponsors, I would put a commercial break right here with 8 to go. Keep in mind, these races are only 10% length, so every lap here is 10 laps in real life. The pit window will actually be at about... Give me a moment while I figure that out. Every 40 laps or so. The real pit window at this track will be about 40 laps, which is already about 160 miles. And since they've got the pedal to the metal for pretty much the entire race, that fuel wears out fast. Six to go. And no one seems to be able to catch up with Carl Edwards. He's still really concerned about his fuel, though. And the word I'm getting is everybody is concerned about their fuel, too. Nobody has enough fuel to make it to the end. 5 to go. He's going a little slower through those turns. That's because of his old tires. Into the tri-oval, we've got 4 to go. I don't know if you could see the speedometer in the lower right corner, but he got up to 208 miles an hour before he braked for his turn. His fuel's already in the red. He knows he cannot make it to the finish on this tank of fuel. And it looks like he's going to pull into the pits. Looks like he's betting on everybody else to come in. There comes Jimmie Johnson. Well, it looks like Danica Patrick. Everyone else is coming in. He's going to take fuel only, just a splash. There's Martin Truex Jr. just finishing a pit stop. Kyle Larson.
Practice. Let's do this.
There came Joey Logano out of the pits. He just took his splash and he now has enough. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has the lead in this race, but he has not yet taken his second pit stop. One thing I forgot to mention in the recap earlier is the horrible pit stop that Kyle Busch had, where he pulled up too close to the wall, and when he pulled ahead, he ran over an air hose. And still, somehow, he managed to end up in 4th place. Two laps to go. Carl Edwards is back in the lead. Looks like that fuel-only pit stop was very beneficial because he is way far ahead of everybody else. Just have to see who that lap car is in his sights. It looks like the 14 of Brian Vickers this week. Brian Vickers and Ty Dillon seem to have been taking turns covering for Tony Stewart in the 14. What a way to spend your retirement season. The white flag is out. Our best thoughts and prayers are with Tony Stewart and a quick recovery for him. He must have been to Kyle Busch's surgeon to get his bones all fixed up. And out of turn 4 with a huge lead because of pit strategy, Carl Edwards is going to come and take the checkered flag and win the Auto Club 400. His third win at Auto Club Speedway. Oh, no, excuse me, his second. Since we can't have him do an actual backflip in this game, here's a video of him doing a backflip. We've got Carl Edwards in first, Kevin Harvick in second, Ryan Blaney, Jimmie Johnson, Casey Kane, the unused 26 car, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, and Kurt Busch, rounding out the top 10 in this race. Be sure you vote for who should be featured 2 weeks from today at Martinsville International Raceway, since we will be off next week. Thank you for watching Sideburns of Doom Gaming.